Hello everyone. Today I wanted to take a look at some of my vintage pens. I've been looking on YouTube quite a bit, and I think that we could use another video on vintage pens and the really extraordinary quality that they have in terms of their aesthetic appeal, the look of them, as well as how they write. It's kind of a whole package deal. And so I'm going to open up the pen holder that I've got for the vintage ones. As you can see, I've got a fair variety, although I will have to say that almost all of them are WATERMAN. There are a couple of Pelican pens, one Schaefer, one Parker, and one Montblanc. So, the really extraordinary ones, happily, are WATERMAN, because they really do have quite a special quality. So I'm going to pull out some of the WATERMAN pens, and then we can take a look at them a little bit with a little bit more detail as we go through. So this is a good range of WATERMANs, and let's see, I have clearly too many, but let's just start with the WATERMANs and see how we do. All right, so let's see what we've got. So the first one that I think is really extraordinary is this WATERMAN 42. It's a number 42, which means it is a safety pen, and we'll see what that means in just a second. But the exterior is just phenomenal. It's got a chasing with a beautiful pattern, and it's very delicate. And it also has a lovely engraving, which is in essence, it says the officers of the 44th Infantry. So this was a pen given to the officers of the 44th Infantry of the, and since it's an Italian, okay, we're going to assume it's the Italian Army. The pen is probably from the 1930s, possibly the 20s. And so that kind of gives us a place in history to put this pen. This styling on the clip is very kind of well recognized as a European model pen, and the floral detail is quite something. And as I mentioned, it's a safety pen, which means you have to open it up while it's standing up, otherwise ink will pour out. So there we are on that. Okay, and so we take off the cap, and at the bottom we have a kind of a piston kind of piston kind of screw well, okay, you'll see. And as I turn that bottom piece, the nib comes out. And when it comes out fully, it seals the ink inside and isolates the ink to the nib. And it has a standard flat feed, which is typical of the period. And it has a very nice, fairly flexy nib. And so we should pull out some paper and take a look at how it writes. One of the interesting things about using a vintage pen is the fact that it releases quite a bit of ink, definitely more than modern pens, and it's a little bit more under the control of the writer. So you can press and get quite a full amount of ink flowing out or not, depending on your style. So let's take a look here real quick and see how this works. I'm going to try to write as clearly as I can. Okay. And it is, okay, gold filled. They call it gold filled because it's not solid gold, obviously, and it's not really gold plated. It's a little bit of it has a thicker layer of gold over the body. And it is chased. It has that engraved quality in the line. So there's that. You can see that. I'm using a what is it called? Gold Antiqua. I'm using an Robert Oster ink, Gold Antiqua. And that gives me a kind of a sepia type tone to it. Okay. So it is a safety pen. Okay. From Italy. Circa 1930s, I would say. Okay. And it definitely has a very handsome line. Trying to get this looking more or less at the camera. So that's one of the nicest pens I own. And let's put that away. You turn well, you can't see what I'm doing, but you're turning this knob here and withdrawing the nib, and then you cap it. And you have to be very careful not to turn it sideways while it's uncapped, because the ink will run out while the nib is retracted. Okay. Another beauty is this sparkling gold-filled Waterman. It is, I'm not sure if I can get this to show very clearly. Not really. Oh well. It is a number 0552, which means that it is an automatic filler, gold filled, with a number 2 nib on it. And let's see if we can take a good close look at the nib, of course the sweetheart, breather hole, and a simple flat feed that is typical of the time period, 30s again. It is lever and sac filling, which is different than the safety. The safety, I should have mentioned, is an eyedropper filler. Clearly, since you retract the nib and the ink, you just put in with an eyedropper or syringe, whatever is you have handy. This is lever and sac, and so this is a later innovation, and it has a chasing that they call Gothic. This is their Gothic style chasing, which is just really exquisite, or exquisite as I think they prefer. And this, let me see what ink I have in here. Oh, Aurora. So I have L'Artisan Pastelier Aurora ink in this one. So we'll try another description. It's a number 0552. Gold filled and chased with the Gothic style. And again, 1930s, most likely for this one as well. And it really is quite a lovely piece. It's, from the look of it, there are no dents, there are no scratches, nothing. This must be old new stock, as they call it, which is a discovered kind of inventory of pens that were never used and never sold, and that sat in a warehouse or a basement somewhere. This was sent to me by a seller in, I believe, Slovenia. And so Eastern Europe is a place that tends to be rather rich in old new stock, where merchants hid their stock before the advance of the Soviet army at the end of World War II. And so there are quite a number of discoveries to be made in Eastern Europe of pens that were never sold, never used, and they are absolutely, so they're flawless. This is really an exceptional pen for that reason. Another Waterman, quite a bit older. The style, the filigree style of gold over black hard rubber. And this has a number which is very odd. It's an 0514 PSF. The numbering system for Waterman pens, it does help in some way to date it a little bit, but it's not easy, at least not for me. I don't know enough about it to say with any certainty. I do believe that this is probably earlier than the other two, probably 20s. So because they still have they still have the black hard rubber underneath, the gold filigree on top, and a number of little details suggest that it's quite a bit older. The lever is quite small, and the styling just suggests an earlier pen. This is also quite a gusher, so I will, have to take care with this pen. I had sent it for some repair and asked the repairer, if it would be possible to kind of keep the ink a little less gushy, and the person sent it back and said, this is just a gorgeous kind of wet noodle type nib, so let's leave it alone, and I agreed. So secondarily, it is important to mention the paper, and as we all know, using fountain pens really requires excellent paper that can handle the ink, that can handle some pressure on without bleeding through and causing a very unpleasant writing experience. So anyway, let's do this one here. Okay, this has a fabulous purple ink, which I believe is Orchard and Bloom, the Visconti Orchard and Bloom ink. And this is the 0514. This paper in this notebook is a little difficult. I may just have to switch this out. But it is a gold filigree overlay. And I think you can see how wet that ink is and how it lays down a line that's very generous. And what else can we say about it? Okay. Okay. Overlay. Hard black rubber. Okay. And I'm gonna say roughly 1920s on that. Yeah. So there is that one. It also was owned by a person with the initials, with the name I.F. Baker, which I think is kind of exciting. Unfortunately, the name is too common. I couldn't find an I.F. Baker from just a internet search. I wish I could have, but I did not. And one more. Let's do the 100-year pen. Speaking of an engraved name on the pen, this is Gene Zinkow, or Zinkoff, RN. And I was able to find this person who was from New Jersey, went to high school in New Jersey. And my guess is 4 years later, after she graduated from high school, she went to nursing school and graduated right as World War II was starting. And so this pen is from the early 40s or late 30s. It might have been manufactured in the late 30s. And it's a ribbed acrylic or possibly I can't think of the name of the material. Could be celluloid, and it has some see-through quality. At the end there, you can see through. It is ribbed. Has this ribbed styling. A single, fairly thick gold band at the cap. The clip is clearly a later style clip by Waterman, so that's why I'm putting it either late 30s or early 40s. And these pens were guaranteed for 100 years. Happily, we haven't quite reached the 100-year point, but it is still a very nice writer. And so I will take a stab at seeing how this goes. It's a Waterman 100-year pen. I don't know what the official name for the color is. I'm just going to call it a dark red. Probably celluloid, but I cannot guarantee that. With a, I believe, number 2. Where is my... I don't see it now. It should be a number 2. The nib actually says 100-year pen, so that we know. So the nib is actually original, or at least they match. If that was replaced, it was matched by another 100-year pen nib. And it's not super flexible. It's semi-flex at best, but it really is just writes like a dream. Okay. So I'll say 1940s. Yeah, most likely. And for this pen, very handsome, very pleasing. And it's not in perfect shape, but it really is a tremendous piece of history, having this engraving here. And so we know it was used by a nurse during World War II, most likely. All right, very good. Let me close here. And next time, we will be looking at a few more of the Waterman pens. And I'm not doing this very well at all, am I? And so we will take a look and play with some other things. And I hope you will join me then. Thanks very much.